Hello, fellow pipers. Typing Piper here. Filling this, believe it's a bulldog. I'm not sure about the name. It has this M on the stem, but there's nothing else on the briar. There's a few fills that it has. I believe that's might be why it was never finished. The upside to this pipe is that it does take a filter. So when I'm smoking things like Fork and Riff, Cherry, Cavendish, like today, ta-da! Well, tends to smoke smoother. It's more pleasant. So I'm not too fond of Fork and Riff. I find that the tobacco dries out quickly after you first open it. Tends to have a strong room note, mild flavor. But as it dries out after opening the package, tongue bite is a consistent issue that I've had with it. So, day started out rough. Last night, the wife and I went to bed at about midnight, and 12:30. The child decided that she was going to wake up and stay awake for the most part for the next 4 hours. Didn't want a bottle, didn't want a teething ring. And I noticed that the only thing that really was calming her down was me standing above the crib rubbing her back. So I was like, okay, she needs to be comforted for some reason. So basically, I didn't get to bed until 4 in the morning. Then I was woken up at 8 in the morning so that we could be at a NICU reunion, which started at 9. We had heard about these things while we were in the NICU with Zoe, and there was a couple nurses that we were hoping to see again. One of the women who ran it was called a parent-to-parent group, so that as your child is going through its journey of being in the NICU, the parents don't feel like they're alone, and they can meet other parents that are going through very similar or the same thing. So they were doing this event, this reunion, at the same time that they were having a benefit child, like, what was it? Children's run, basically raising money for the children's hospital. Not opposed to it, but what we noticed was that the tent and the area for the NICU reunion, there's really nobody organizing it. There's nobody to visit. Parents were showing up not knowing anybody else. It was just really odd, and it was unfortunate. And it was especially unfortunate for me because I had like 4 hours of sleep. So we left there, and today was also the last day for the Allegan Antique Fair, which the Allegan County Fairgrounds has, I'd say like 100 plus, maybe more booths that you can rummage through, and they have barns that are filled with stuff. The outside booths. So we went to that to try to make up for that morning. Feel like we accomplished something. And what ended up happening was we kind of roamed around. The only thing I bought was two 50 caliber shells to use as tappers. What up, pimp? What up, pimp? I don't know if I would call myself a pimp. Married with a kid, but I appreciate the sentiment. So yeah, I was on the cruise. I was cruising around for pipes, tobacco. Was it tobacco kana? Uh, tins, things of that nature, and I did find one booth. It was fascinating. I should have taken pictures, except the person who was running the booth was sitting like right behind where all the pipes were. There was probably 50 pipes altogether. None of them are clean. They're all estate pipes. It was probably, besides the batch of pipes that I bought in Middlebury. Um, uh, they were far nicer than anything I bought in Middlebury, but the prices were insane. Um, there's this really, really nice Briar Joby with a lucite stem, bunch of brass fittings. There was a brass fitting that went around the inside of the rim of the bowl. $75. um, Saw quite a few Meerschaum pipes. Most of those were averaging 30 to 50 bucks a piece. And I didn't, I brought some cash with me, but not a whole lot. So I was seeing a lot of pipes that, if it was just for me, I might have splurged, but then I didn't really feel like splurging anyway. Plus, I bought a shit ton of tobacco this week that should start arriving tomorrow, so there will be a Yabo this week. And yeah, I saw a ton of pipes. There was a couple of tins that I was looking at. Um, One I was tempted to get because it was a tuxedo blend. Still had the tobacco in it. Wasn't sealed though, so I'd have to spend time like rehydrating it, and if that even worked properly. But yeah, I just got 250 cal shells for tappers, and they are too wide for the majority of the pipes that I have. I ended up getting those for $1. He charged me 50 cents a piece, and the original price was $1.50 a piece. Um, I think he was just wanting to get rid of stuff. Maybe he was hoping that I would go back and buy the rest of them, but a lot of it, the brass was, starting to turn green, and um, they weren't all that attractive. At least the ones I picked out could be buffed and look nice eventually. I'm collecting too many hobbies, and that's one of them that I just added. Big Casper just stopping in. Well, thank you for showing up, Big Casper. Just chatting about my Sunday, going out to the antique fair, the NICU reunion that my wife and I went to this morning, smoking some cherry Cavendish, and just trying to wind down at the end of the weekend and get ready for a Monday. And Mondays I don't usually get to do any type of videos or anything, so I'm recording this now. And yeah, so tomorrow's gonna be Loved Your Govid. Thank you. I'm surprised it only had I think last time I checked it was like 64 views, but whatever, get the word out. Hopefully other people will see it, participate, eventually win something. Yeah, so tomorrow I have to go pay rent on my antique booth downtown. I'm probably going to tell them that I'm also. I don't even know what to do about it. My wife finally saw that video for the first time last night. Um, After a few beers, some hard cider, and I think possibly a glass of wine. It's hard to remember, but she just told me like an hour ago. Did that really happen? Did you show me a video where you were fill in the blank? And it's like, yeah. She's like, so that really happened. Like, you have that video out there. People are watching this. The things they find out after you get married. Uh, yeah, I have been coming up with some ideas for no creative talent here. I can preach a good sermon. 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 Yeah. Well, I don't know. You could always try doing like a Billy Graham smoking a pipe. Do the whole I have sin, give me money thing. Um, I wouldn't go with like Ted Haggard. Um, that's just kind of creepy. I have been thinking about doing other videos as the GAW is progressing towards 250. Try to inspire people to do other pipe parodies. So some of the ones I've had in mind was I only do Big Casper. All right. So some of the things I had in mind was pipe fiction. Uh, take with that as you will. Raiders of the Lost Cellar, and a few others that I'm still trying to work out. But filming something like that and getting it on YouTube and having it actually be entertaining is, I think it'd be worth it though. I think it would. So it's another dreary, cold Sunday here. Hey, book lover Piper. How are you doing? Love your name. I do have an Indiana Jones hat, no whip. Well, see, there you go. Maybe you're going to take my idea and run with it. I am totally cool with that. You'll probably do a better job than I ever could. Plus, it's really hard to pull off a Harrison Ford when you have this beard. There wasn't any Indiana Jones that had him growing facial hair. Kind of takes away the manliness aspect of it. Hey, how you doing? Kirk Maxon. Man, this thing is filling up. You know, my friend Ben and I did a live feed yesterday. It got cut in half, but altogether it's just under 4 hours, and it's just me and him shooting the shit. I don't know if it's entertaining or not, but it's something that we're thinking about making a regular thing. We still haven't come up with a name for it. Originally, when we were passing ideas and drinking beer at the same time, which is probably never a good idea. We were originally thinking pipes and politics, but then he's like, nah, you don't want to just limit it to politics. I was like, yeah, that's true. Then I was kind of playing with the whole pipes and, or, nah, not stuff and things. Anyway, I was thinking of like pipes and shit, but then have the I be inverted in an exclamation point. It's a very popular thing that's going on right now. Like how they put the F bomb in the title of just about every book that's on the shelves these days. The subtle art of not giving up. And then there's like a star or something within the U. Like you don't know what it says, but technically it doesn't say what you know it says. So we don't know what to call this thing. But we're gonna try to keep doing it every weekend, like 2 or 3 hours, sitting back, smoking pipes, chatting about different things. And I'm surprised at how many people have actually viewed it already. Smoking some old dark fire. See, I need to get on that bandwagon. I did have something. Oh man, what was it? I had something recently that had Old Dark Fire Kentucky in it. I liked it. It was nice and smooth. Um, had a lot of flavor to it. I really need to figure out what blend that was. And it's got to be Weekend Pipe Update. SNL. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to have to write that one down. That might have just nailed it. I think we're going to have scheduling issues sometimes, though, because Ben is in the military, and every couple weekends he has drill, but he says that he's going to try to squeeze it in anyway. I don't know what that means, but somehow we're going to make it work. But Weekend Pipe Update. That's actually sounding pretty good. This Cherry Cavendish is smoking really well with the filter in here. You know, I was not a fan of filters at first. I kind of went back and forth because a lot of my early pipes were Dr. Grabo and K. Woody's, and next time I order some stuff, I do want to see if they have the filters with the charcoal in it and see how that affects the smoke. I did notice that it also helped with aromatics, how wet they can be. You know, you get that gurgling, um, that goop, and then you just pull the filter out, run a pipe cleaner, boom, done. You know, it's not as messy as it has to be. Yeah, so I'm probably closing the antique booth tomorrow. Have a last month. Um, get our stuff out. The other weird thing is the guy who owns it, the antique mall. He was telling me, yeah, I offered a full booth to somebody else, which means that your stuff has to move over a spot and all this other stuff. And they were going to do it for me, which I didn't really feel comfortable with because, what if something gets broken or whatever, and then there's a whole big debacle there because I'm pretty sure in the contract it says they are not liable for um, items that are broken or destroyed. So I'm not too happy with this idea. So I think it's just better for me to go in tomorrow and just say, look, this is going to be the last month. I'll just move my stuff out gradually and be out by the end of the month. And then you can have your big spot and be done. Peter Stokeby, 301 Dutch Cavendish. I do have to try some of the Stokeby.
You didn't give Zoe that multivitamin today, did you?
No.
That's okay. Just wanted to show you.
Okay. So that was the wife. Just got the, yeah. When there's a list of things that your kid has to have and you forget one, not a good day. So, what else is happening? I am supposed to meet with a friend sometime this week. Smoking Stokeby proper English. See, I haven't had an English in a while. The last really good English I had was Bulldog. Proper English from Pipes and Cigars. Honestly, it might have been one of the last good tobaccos that I've smoked out of that batch from Pipes and Cigars. I did try the C'est La Vie French Vanilla, and I think the pipe that I was smoking it in just was not a good match. I think there's some ghosting from whatever I smoked in it before because it was not coming across as vanilla at all. Tasted horrible. Then I tried it in something else yesterday, and I was like, wow, this is pretty good. So I'm going to take that back. I've had just about everything that came from Pipes and Cigars was pretty good. When you get a chance, that Bulldog, that's some really good stuff. And I did a couple reviews on it. So I think I'm coming to the end of this bowl. Nope, got some life back. All right, so I am meeting with a friend later this week. He sent me a text about 2 weeks ago and said, hey, in 2 weeks, have about 10 pages of stuff to hand over. Enjoy all the Stokeby English blends and flakes under $2 an ounce. That is a really good selling point because I am a cheap ass. I don't mind paying more for tobacco if I know it's going to be good. I also don't mind if I know that it's going to disappear forever, which has been happening lately. I think I have 3 or 4 of the Syrian blend, Latakia blend from McBaron now, and I still haven't cracked any of them open to see what it's like. So back to this friend. He's been wanting to write this book for a couple years now, and he knows that he has resources available to him for getting advice and feedback, and he just hasn't. He's very. I wouldn't say he's very ADD. He says that he is. His diagnosis that in high school, but I think a lot of that is just kind of BS. And so we're actually supposed to trade some stuff, give each other some feedback on our stories. I don't know what story he is working on. I know he had one idea that he's tinkering around with that was like 2 or 3 years ago, but it sounds like he's really determined to just kind of finally sit down, get it done, have some fun. First draft's always fun. It's the editing and rewriting of a novel that you just want to slam your head into a brick wall. And so I'm looking forward to that later this week. Haven't seen him in a while either. So I'm thinking we usually go to the Chinese buffet. That's our thing. His wife doesn't like to go to it because she thinks it's gross. My wife can't go because we work opposite shifts during the week. So it's kind of like become our thing to just go in and load up on like some of the most horrible junk food that just tastes delicious because you know it's killing you. and, but right across the street, this place opened up, and they have the only ramen in town as of right now, and some of the better ramen that I have had. The only other ramen I've actually uh, had was in Grand Rapids, which is like an hour away, and an hour went one way, so it's a 2 hour drive altogether. To get some ramen, just not my thing. Um, and I'm not a fan of big cities either. So it's funny living here. My wife's family lives in a really small town, and so when they have to come up here for stuff, they're like, "This is insane. How do you live here?" And our city only has, I think it's like 60, 70,000 people. Um, I think between here and the neighboring city, it's like 100,000, 120 something altogether. But yeah, it's just funny. We're like that weird in between.
So we said goodnight.
Night, Zoe.
Good
Night, night. Can you say night, night to everybody? Yeah, that's you.
Good night.
Night, night. All right. So Zoe got her cameo in. She's going to bed. Hopefully she stays in bed because, as I was saying earlier, I got about 4 hours of sleep last night. It was not fun. Yeah, what else is going on? Yeah, Gribbly had a interesting video today. Gribbs addresses your latest comment in today's anti. Yes, he did. I was just bringing that up. Which is funny, within a week, my perspective completely. I swear, like if our president had a superpower, it is sucking people into his drama. I feel like we are living a very long, unedited episode of Jerry Springer without Jerry Springer or Steve Wilco. There's no Steve Wilco to like put people in line. It's just we have a guy sitting on stage that is just doing stuff, and there's nobody regulating as to what happens on this show. Because I came back from the UP, hadn't heard anything except for a few comments here and there. Just I actually like forgot about things in the news and I was relaxed. I was not just me. So like me, my wife, and my daughter were sleeping like 8, 10 hours a night straight. It was amazing. Uh, I came back relaxed. Um, couldn't really care less about what was going on in the news, and I was like, man, is this just how I should keep it? And then Kavanaugh happened, and it just kept getting worse. And I would catch these little 5 minute segments driving from my house to work because it takes less than 5 minutes for me to get to work. And of course, NPR has the news on. I heard live snippets of the hearing. I heard within 2 days, I heard things that Ford said. I heard Kavanaugh's horrible reply. Um, Apparently, the guy likes beer. You know, a lot of guys like beer, but this guy, like, I felt like it was an intervention to try to get him into AA. Is what it ended up turning into. And, there were several things that came to mind. It was like, why does it have to be him? If there's questions about this guy's character and his past, shouldn't you just move on to the next guy? And it wasn't even a hearing. It wasn't. It wasn't like they were trying to figure out if they should convict him of a crime or something. No, this was like a job interview. And I don't know of too many jobs where you go in and you're trying to get this position, this really nice cushy position where the only two ways that you lose the job is you resign or you die. Where you can say like, I like beer. Yes. Oh, by the way, did I mention I never raped anybody? And you bring up those things in a job interview, and they're probably like, we've got like 5 other applicants, and you're probably not somebody we're going to be looking at. Well, for some reason, we're in this position where this guy, just because he's nominated, they're like, he has to have the job. And, we have, what, 330 million Americans in this country, and that one job boils down to that one guy. Seriously. So I don't know. We had the Democrats knocking on the doors yesterday, trying to see if they had our vote. There was one guy that they brought up that I was when they brought up his name, there were several things that came to mind, and I was like, I don't think I can vote for that guy. I don't like who else is running, but I think that's just one thing on the ballot I'm not going to check off either way. There was an instance. You think the Dems would treat any Trump nominee differently? Well, actually, I do. The thing with Trump is that he has consistently picked the worst people for any job. Most of the people he hired to be in the White House are now gone. Either fired or they resigned. And this is a job that people cannot be fired from. So the thing that I go back to is Obama had a nominee, and Mitch McConnell wouldn't even have a hearing. He wouldn't go through with it at all for 10 months, just waited for Obama to get out of office. And then Trump appointed that position. And here's the thing. The guy that Obama picked, a good portion of Republicans were like, no, that's actually a good pick. But it was because Obama picked the dude that everyone's like, nope, not even gonna listen to it. Nope, we're just gonna write it out. So I think the same goes with Trump. If he actually picked somebody that was a good nominee, and here's the weird thing: Mitch McConnell even told Trump, "Don't pick Kavanaugh." and we know what kind of games Mitch McConnell plays, and even he was like, "That's not a good idea." And of course, uh, Trump being Trump, he was like, "Oh no, that's my guy." Oh, he's not a good pick. Well, we have to get him in. So, we've already seen in the past cabinet members that were to be appointed. We had, oh shoot, what's her name? They were hoping that she was going to run for president. No one in my circle considered Garland to be a constitutional originalist. Well, you can't really go by anybody being a constitutional originalist. Because if you go by the original version of the Constitution, women didn't have the right to vote. If you owned slaves, you got to have your vote counted for the number of slaves that you owned by the, I think it was what, three, each one was 2/3, something like that, a person. So, like, one person votes, and then depending on how many slaves he had on his plantation, those also counted as votes. There's a lot of things in the original Constitution that we no longer abide by, and they've been amended. So for anybody to, if somebody did come in and was an original constitutionalist, you'd really have to question how they view the changes that have happened over the last, 250 years? So we made changes. We'd like to hope that we made improvements. We should still be making improvements. And I feel like a lot of the things that the Supreme Court has done in the last 20, 30 years have actually been steps back. You consider corporations are people too, that being one of them. That really goes back to that compromise in the Constitution with slave owners, except they don't. Corporations don't get more votes, but they do get more dollars towards the people that they want to be in office. So it's almost the same thing. Besides, we've never seen an instance where a president is able to have a nominee and then Congress doesn't even hear them. You look at like the crap they went through with Sotomayor, and I don't think she was the original pick either. I think there was somebody before that, and then they were just like, nope, not this one. And then he brought up Sotomayor, and they couldn't really find anything bad about her, so they approved her. That's really what they should be doing this time around too. So I'd really just, oh man, I'd like to go back to just not knowing any of this shit and just, taking care of myself, taking care of my family, paying my bills. But no, I get drawn back into this crap. Maybe I'm just a political junkie. You hear some little snippet here and there, and it's like, oh, what's going on? Huh, crap, I need to know more about this. Yeah. So, anybody have any other questions out there? Any other comments? As I'm finishing this last bowl for the night. Because I have a small little tobacco bar of things that are open that I'll be working through. There's not much of this left. This will probably be gone by the middle of the week. I am coming to appreciate the cherry tobaccos more these days. I was supposed to go fishing tonight. That was the original plan. And even with the weather being the way that it is, we're still planning on going, taking a canoe out, doing some bass fishing. I've only gone out one other time before. We'll catch your live streams later tonight. Wasn't planning on doing any other ones later tonight, unless you're referring to the other ones we did before. Actually, I think you're referring to the ones that I mentioned before. So that makes sense now. It's been a long day. But yeah, we didn't get to do any fishing today. It's kind of stunk. Yep. I was hoping to get some of the rods out. I bought a bunch of, not bait, some plastics, some flies, because I was going to try out some new stuff this year. I just never got out. Crappie season. Oh, I know some good places to get some crappie. I don't know about you, but I feel like crappie is more flavorful. They tend to be bigger than the bluegill and the sunfish that we have in the lakes here. They're really aggressive. They're fun to pull in. And there's some tasty eating. I remember getting some crappie. Oh God, was that a couple years ago now? The thing is, one of the lakes I like to go to around here, it's become overfished the last couple of years to the point where it's not even worth going out anymore. There's one, was that 2 years ago? I went out opening day for fishing season, and there must have been like 30 people on the shore. And I guarantee you the majority of them probably didn't have licenses. There's one dude that had 2 5-gallon buckets, and they were filled with fish. He was definitely above the legal limit for the day, and he was still out there. So that's the kind of garbage that I'm dealing with in my neck of the woods when it comes to fishing. And the last time I was out, it was a day very similar to this, but it was in the spring. And there was only 2-3 other people that were out. I was trying a new rod. I was trying some new baits. And this guy would just not shut up. It was driving me nuts. He's like, oh, no, yeah, those plastics, you don't want to try those plastics. You're not going to get anything with that. And then he's like, I got a whole can of worms over here. You can try some of the worms. I got more than enough worms. He was like offering me fish that he caught, which is like really, I'm here to do my own fishing. I just want some peace and quiet. I have a feeling that he was like looking for a friend or something. I don't know. I don't know what was going on. He was not out there for the same reasons I was. Can't wait till winter. Like Okeechobee. Like Okeechobee. Take the pipe and it doesn't matter if the fish are biting. That is true. I was trying that too, but it was raining that day. It was not a good combo. Plus, I was switching out the bait and all the dealing with the lines. I really need to get some new rods. Um, I spent money on some good, um, getting some good line on my rods. Morgan Cobb cigar. I have seen those. Wait, Morgan Cobb cigar. A Cobb cigar. Is that a new thing? Is that different from the Briar cigars that I've been seeing the last couple of years? Because I do tend to take a Cobb with me just because they're cheaper. I have one in particular. I don't know how old it is. It's a Missouri Meerschaum, and the sticker under it is printed in gold. But this thing has been with me for the last couple of years. I only smoke Carter Hall out of it. It's changing color um, in a way that I wasn't expecting. Haven't had any issues with the bowl cracking or anything like that. Has a nice cake layer in it. I can't find any information on this pipe, and other than knowing that it's Missouri Meerschaum and same design produced by Missouri Meerschaum, not currently. God, you know, you go on smoking pipes, and there's certain pipes by Missouri Meerschaum that are still listed, but it's always currently out of stock. And that annoys the crap out of me. I've been wanting to get a Mark Twain. Last time I checked, those are currently out of stock. I mean, $20 versus 160 for the. Oh, well then, yeah. You know how to sell me on a product. I've got quite a few Cobbs, but they're all estate Cobbs. A lot of them you can tell either they were never smoked or they're smoked once or twice and then shelved for some reason. Maybe the previous owner didn't like how they smoked, or who knows? Maybe it was a gift and they're just not in the Cobbs. But it's worked in my favor. The other ones I've wanted to get is the Cobbit. I think it'd be cool to have like a little mini church warden corn cob. It seems like everybody has one. Have to imagine that they smoke well. I sold all the church wardens that I did have, um, which, like the cob, it's yeah, yes, okay, Cobbit, yes. Um, that's one I wouldn't mind owning. A lot of the other ones I'm not that into, and I do like the designs on the older um, Missouri Meerschaum that they used to have. Like I do have the corn dog, which is a corn cob bulldog design. That's a really nice smoke. I landed that for $5, and it looked like it was barely smoked, and it smokes really well. It's a lot like this one, like I said, except that it's a corn cob. And so a lot of those older classic designs I wish that they would bring back. They also had the brass fitting on the end. A lot of the corn cobs that I have are designed that way. And who knows? Maybe because they were aged longer, they smoke better. I don't know. I've only bought one new Missouri Meerschaum, and it was the hardwood. I just bought that to try some new tobaccos in, and it worked out fairly well. I see lots of calls to bring the corn dog back. Yes, maybe we should start a campaign. I saw Law and Smoke is trying to do a campaign with Savinelli to have a special edition um, Friday Savinelli dedicated to Matches 860. I think it's a great idea. I mean, we have the community, we have the voice. Why not? The guy seems to have done a lot for Savinelli over the years for, you know, no money except buying their products. And there is that one gorgeous Savinelli that he smokes out of for his Friday videos, and you know, I've been tempted to. I keep hoping that I'll come across one at an estate sale. I'm just not that lucky. I've come across some Savinellis. I have a couple, uh, but there's just something about the one that Matches has that is very appealing. But it's hard to justify spending that kind of money on a pipe when you don't know if it's going to be the right fit for you. Yeah, Matches has sold a lot of salves and Haunted Bookshop. And Haunted Bookshop is another one I have yet to try. I feel like smoking tobacco is almost like being a reader. There's so many books out there, so many that you hear about that you must read at least one time before you die. And there's so many tobaccos out there that are the same way. Same here. Professor Jeremiah, hey, how are you doing, Professor? Are you really Professor, or is that just your name, like Professor Walker? Catch you live. Yes, it is Sunday night. I've actually been doing this longer than I was intending. Working on my second bowl of Fork and Riff Cherry Cavendish. Which I am enjoying more out of. Does anybody know what the M on the stem stands for? Because there's nothing on the briar. Little of both. Because I've been kind of lazy and I just haven't looked this pipe up. It smokes well though. I like it. Does work better with the filter. So some of the tobaccos I've been wanting to try. You know, there's quite a. I'd say there's more tobacco I don't have in my cellar than what I'd like, and but at the same time, I have more than enough to keep me entertained for a very long time. And it just seems like the list keeps getting longer and longer as to things that I should add, things I should try. Um, Old Dark Fired Kentucky was brought up earlier, and I've heard that you really have to dedicate a pipe to that. That once you smoke Old Dark Fired in a pipe, it's going to ghost the crap out of it. Bible teacher and teach woodworking to youth in a small town. Wow, they're still teaching trades. I'm jealous. I just found out that our high schools. So I graduated in '98, and since then, our high schools no longer have an automotive class, but use the same name for YTPC. YTCP. Y, YTPC. Yeah, that was backwards, but not judging here. Yeah, I wish I would have had something offered to me like woodworking back in the day. Um, Probably would have gotten into pipe making sooner. Um, Still looking for a few tools. I do have some Mr. Brog. Typing too fast. Yes. I'm guilty of that at times. Um, I did get a box of Mr. Brog unfinished pipes from Amazon just to tinker around with it and see what I'm able to. No need to correct yourself here, Professor. Um, just to see if it was something that I would enjoy, and I haven't had time to tinker around with those. I think it's going to be like a winter thing. Um, See how it goes, learn how to, dye the wood, buff it, polish it, all those good things. I'm getting more tobaccos. Suggested Voodoo Queen by Sutliff. Medium English, good baccy. All right. Yeah, I'm going to have to add that to my list. That's been coming up too. I have enjoyed all of the McBarons that I have tried in the past. Sutliff, I have enjoyed a lot of their matches, like the 965 match. Man, I was really enjoying the Flying Dutchman match that they have. I don't know what the original Flying Dutchman was like, but that smelled really good. It tasted really good. It seemed to be like a mild English, but I'm not sure on that. But man, that was a nice bowl yesterday that I had. Um, Also, like the man, there's so many of the Sutliffs that I've tried, and they've got like a nice wide variety of things. It's fairly cheap, so that's up my alley for several reasons. Um, McBaron Lane, except for the Lane Ready Rub, haven't been enjoying that. I've been trying that in several different pipes, wondering if it was the pipe itself that was just not doing it for me, and I can't get into that one. But some of my favorite tobaccos at the moment are from Lane. Um, I'm really hooked on their Wild Hair. I do enjoy the Lane 1Q, um, the Lane BCA. That was a phenomenal one that I heard about in a podcast and had to try it. Instantly loved it. Uh, but, I have a soft spot for the tobaccos with the more tolerable room notes. Something that just about anybody can enjoy. Uh, is where I lean. The only thing that irritates me is Wild Hair is only available in tin. So you're stuck paying a slightly higher price. I find it's more enjoyable than the Lane 1Q. smokes better, even though Lane 1Q, like, I've never had any issues with 1Q. I just think it's an overall better tasting, better smelling um, tobacco. That's one of those that I go on my lunch break, I sit on the bench, I'm reading the book, and then I have people coming up going, "What is that? That smells so good, man. That's a nice blend." I don't get that very often. Consistently, I get that with Wild Hair. Um, so if you haven't tried that, it's actually one of the cheaper ones that Lane's does in a tin. I think it's like $7. So I would throw that in an order just to try it out if I was somebody that hadn't tried it. Um, some of the ones that I've been wanting to try, well, Old Darkfire Kentucky has been coming up. Gribbs was really hitting that Fusilier's ration really hard. I think he was working on that for a couple weeks, and then when he finally ran out, he was like, "Oh, this is the last of it. What am I gonna do?" Um, and so I really want to. I don't have any Hearth and Home. Chatham Manor only comes in the big tub. I don't know if I want to invest in a big tub when I don't know what it's like, but he said it's a lot like Carter Hall. Slightly different, just as good, if not better. I don't know. I'm still like iffy on that one. Plus, it's only available through Pipes and Cigars, and I've only placed one order through them, and I've heard some nightmare stories. Mine of the my story not being one of them. So I don't know. I did try Quiet Nights. Not for me. Um, Meridian, I did enjoy that one. Quiet Nights, I do understand where the mayor was coming from. Every time you smoke it, you're going to get something slightly different. And I did have that experience. You take one puff, it's tasting just the way that it did when you started the bowl, and then a few seconds later, you take another puff, and it's like a completely different tobacco. Um, and I don't know. I like consistency. I want to know that every time I smoke it, it's gonna smoke the same way and taste the same way, and um, kind of felt like that one was a bit of a mind game. Um, but hey, if you want a different experience, Quiet Nights is probably the way to go on trying something new that it's just gonna screw with your head every time you smoke it. Uh, oh man, Dunhill is going the way of the dinosaur, but there's a lot of people out there saying like, "Hey, we went through this years ago. Somebody else bought the rights to do it again, and then everyone was complaining that it wasn't the same tobacco that it was the previous production, and you know, I haven't been doing this long enough to know what any of the older stuff tasted like. But when you listen to Mutton Chop Piper, and he's talking about, I got these tins, and it turned out they were 3, 4 years old. They must have been in storage somewhere and then shipped out. He was saying it was a completely different experience. Well, um, that's something that everyone is learning along the way. You may like your morning blend. Maybe if you stash it away for a bit, it's going to be an even better morning later on. Uh, and that's where I'm finding that a lot of these tobaccos are a lot like wine in that way. Um, I do enjoy wine. I love my red blends, and a lot of reds are very easy to store away properly and age, and they're better over time. It's just unfortunate. I like aromatics, and it doesn't work the same way with those. So I do have some stuff that I am stashing away for future special occasions, and I'm looking forward to see what those are going to be like. Some of those tins are like the Syrian Latakia that, again, has disappeared. Not going to see it anymore. Tobacco doesn't even exist anymore. So, enjoy it while you can. And then there's guys like me that are just rushing to get a few here and there to stash away so that eventually I can sit down, enjoy it, see what it was like, take some mental notes. Hope that someone somewhere creates something that's very close to it later on. I guess some people are already making like their own breakfast blends or morning blends. I think it was Country Squire Radio. They were talking about some company that's basically copying Dunhill. They're not even getting creative with the names. They don't know if these blends are supposed to be matches or if they're supposed to be replacements, but you go by the names and you even go by the tin designs, and it's very obvious that they're trying to cater to the Dunhill people who are losing what they enjoy. So you do have that happening as well. But I do think that we're fortunate that companies out there are making matches of certain blends. I do enjoy Epiphany. I don't know what the original Revelation was like. Some people say it's really close. Others say that it's not the same. And there's a couple. I also got some Revelation Match from a different company. Because Cornell and Deal did Epiphany, but there's somebody else, and I don't remember who it was, that did Revelation Match, and visibly two different have a good. All right, Kirk Maxon looks like he's checking out. But yeah, between the two Revelation matches, I enjoy them both. They're different cuts. One's heartier than the other. They both taste very similar, so I'm not going to complain about either one. My pipe is empty. It's getting cold out here. It's still a dreary, wet evening, which means I'm going to head inside. So, been at this for over an hour. Thanks for chatting with me. Anybody has any questions, anything that they want me to address later on, leave your comments here. I'll try to find them. I usually get good updates from YouTube as to who's commenting on things. So, yes, Big Casper, you as well have a good evening, or a great evening, as you put it. And I'll chat with you guys sometime later. So, in the meantime, take care of yourselves and keep on typing.